All right, let's talk about instrument maintenance and how to take care of our trumpets. So, first and foremost, you need to know that this is just a piece of metal, right? And it's made out of brass, and brass isn't the most sturdy of metals. So, you got to be careful when you handle it. If you hit it up against a chair or a music stand or you drop it, the metal will bend. If I took this right now and tried as hard as I could to bend it, I probably could bend it and I could do some major damage. So you got to treat this instrument really carefully. These instruments are not cheap. They're expensive. So we want to take really good care of them. And so just be careful when you're holding it. Don't treat it like it's just a toy and you can flail it around wherever. You got to really hang on to it. Okay. Next thing is when we're playing our instruments, obviously we're blowing through it, and you shouldn't have a bunch of food in your mouth or like just have eaten or had candy or sugary soda or something like that. If you just did all that, maybe wash your mouth out a little bit because when you blow through the instrument, that stuff can get in there and get stuck. And then things can grow, like mold and nasty things. So make sure your mouth is pretty clean before you play. You don't have to brush your teeth right before every time, but you just don't want to be spitting chunks into your instrument. Okay, that's nasty. Don't do that. Uh, let's talk about the valves. When you play the trumpet with the valves, you want to push them straight down. That's why we don't want to go like this. We don't want to do anything. You don't want to push them and have them push at an angle, right? You want to have your fingers nice like this. And when you push the valves down, push them straight down. That's not the hugest deal in the world, but it really is over time. Because that way, if you constantly are pushing it at an angle, the valve will kind of get messed up and then you have to get it fixed. Okay? Every once in a while, you're going to have to oil your valves. I'm going to teach you how to do that right now. These unscrew right here, here, and here. I, in the beginning, like to do just one at a time. So I tell my sixth graders and my beginners to only do one at a time. Once you get really used to it, you can unscrew all three. But if you put the wrong valve in the wrong spot, your instrument won't work. So what I do is I unscrew that and I pull this out. I don't like to pull it out all the way because then you could drop it and damage the valve. So I just pull it out enough so it's kind of sticking out. Hold it at an angle. And then you take this valve oil. Your instrument probably came with valve oil. It's special instrument valve oil. Don't use oil from a car. Don't use just water. Don't spit on it. That is not good, right? You want to use valve oil. And you don't use grease, right? This is oil. It's really thin. It looks like water, okay? And what you do, you don't have to put it up here, here, here. None of that spot. You put it on the wide spot. Most of the time, that part is gray, right? So you put it out, and then you just put some valve oil on there. Some drops. You don't have to squirt and drench the thing, but you just get some valve oil in there, and then what you do is you just let it go straight back down, and then you kind of twist so it locks in place. You'll see if it's out of place. That one's higher, and I twist it in place, and it's pretty much lined up. Then when I screw this back in, it's going to be even. Okay? One weird thing is if the valve is not in place, see all those little holes? Those line up with these slides. If that's not in there correctly, your instrument can't play. It doesn't sound right because the air can't get through the holes. So you got to twist it until it locks. If you do that and you can't blow through, it's totally blocked off, well then the valve is halfway backwards. So you got to turn it 180 degrees again so you can blow air through the instrument, okay? And then you screw that back in. Careful when you do that. And then just work it in a little bit. Work it in. And then you can do that to the next one and then the next one. That's called oiling your valves. And you got to do that every once in a while. If your instrument's brand new, then you might need to do another thing. And this is a good thing every once in a while. Some people just put a ton of oil on the valve over and over and over again, and it keeps getting worse and worse. Well, every once in a while, you have to take it all the way out, and then you have to take a soft cloth. This is an old t-shirt. That works fine, as long as it's soft. You don't want something hard. Something nice and gentle. A lint-free cloth is what they say. And you totally just wipe all of it off, right? And sometimes you'll see little black things there. I don't know if you can't really see it in this one. but it's just little tiny like metal shavings or dirt that kind of just over time collect on the valve. Turn it till, and then after I wipe it down, what do I need to put on it? Some valve oil, because it's dry, right? You can't have metal on metal moving quickly if it's dry. Notice I blow and feel like that if it's good. If it's all locked up, I gotta twist it and get it in place so the air can travel through. And I do that to my third valve. Okay, that's how you oil the valves. The last thing we gotta talk about is these slides. All the slides. And we put grease on the slides. If your slides don't move at all, you gotta have someone look at it and try to fix it. Not your parents, like someone like me, a band teacher, a trumpet professional, an instrument repair person. They can help get those out. Because if you try to do it yourself, you might damage it. So all these slides, what you can do, again, if there's gunk on it, you can wipe all that off, right? And then you use slide grease. Don't use the valve oil on this because it'll be too thin. The slide grease is thicker. And you can see this is my slide grease. This is fancy stuff that I have. But yours probably most likely looks like something like this. This is just chapstick. Should you put chapstick on your trumpet? No. There's slide grease, but I didn't have one. I just had chapstick. So will I use this on my trumpet? No. This will go on my lips. That's fine. But not on my trumpet because there's special grease that is meant for your trumpet. Would I use slide grease on my lips like chapstick? No. They're not interchangeable. So what I would do is I would open this. I could wipe off the dirt if there was some. Oh, this thing's kind of hard to open. Okay, I'd put a little bit on there. This stuff is really thick. See how thick that is? I put a little bit on there. I can rub it all around with my fingers, or if you have the chapstick thing, it's kind of nice. It's not chapstick, it's slide grease. Just goes in there like that, and then I work it in. Okay, we can work some other stuff in. Wipe my hands off on that towel I had. And that keeps your slides nice and good. Gotta have good slides that move. This first valve slide, I'll use a little slide grease and maybe a drop or two of valve oil to make it so it moves really easy. And then this third one, you can use actually just valve oil if you want, because the third one you want to move really easy for some things we'll learn later on. So that's how to take care of your instrument. That was kind of a long video, but it's important to know how to oil your valves and to put slide grease on it. You should do that, and you should check it often. And if it doesn't feel good, fix it. You got to take care of this instrument. Long term, maybe once a year, you take your instrument into your trumpet into a shop, and you have them totally clean it, either with a chemical clean or an ultrasonic clean, and you pay to get that done. That makes it like brand new. There's nothing inside that instrument. Maybe every few months you do what you give your trumpet a bath. And I'm not going to teach you how to do that now, but we will later. So don't try it. But, you'll actually put the instrument in the bath and clean all the insides out with little brushes and things like that to make sure there's not gunk inside. Kind of like your parents' car needs a tune-up every once in a while. Your instrument needs a tune-up every once in a while too, to make sure it's functioning properly. All right, that's instrument maintenance.